What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are here with another episode of Lions Latest, going through the latest Detroit Lions news. Today was joint practices, today with the Indianapolis Colts. Today is Wednesday. Tomorrow is also joint practices. Saturday, the Lions play the Colts. So let's get it started.
Fired up. It's made a great decision.
Great teammates, coaches, and other people who want to be Super Bowl champions. And we are. We're going to do it this year.
And we're going places because we want to go places.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Before long, we're going to be the last one standing.
Welcome, everybody, to a video. Glad you guys are here. That was a strange intro. I don't know why I went that way, but that's the way that it went. Probably because I keep forgetting what day it is, but it is Wednesday, and today the Lions started their joint practices with the Colts. Now, I guess from how I'm understanding it, it sounds like they have two fields. One side is offense versus defense. The other side is offense versus defense. So, for example, it would be the Colts defense versus the Lions offense, and on the other side would be the Lions defense against the Colts offense. I guess that way they're not all just standing around. It's kind of a benefit of having two teams there. That makes a ton of sense, but it's also extra work. And while I was not there at Colts practice today, I'm sure a few of you guys were, we do have some notes that I've been able to gather from different sources on the internet. And I just wanted to discuss a few of the key points that I took away from what I have read. And also, of course, we have to update this injury report because it sounds like we got a little bit of good news and also some bad news. So let's start there with the Detroit Lions. Let's start with some of these injury updates. All right. PUP list remains the same. NFI list still has Jamison Williams. Then you also have Quintez Cephas, who did no teamwork, it sounds like, today. Now, they told us Quintez Cephas was back yesterday, but they were getting prepared for the Colts. Sounds like he didn't do any kind of teamwork today, but that's okay. I don't expect him to play on Saturday either. A Big V also returned. This was a little bit of a scare that popped up a few days ago. I don't remember when this was, but a few days ago, we heard the news that Big V basically just left practice, or maybe he wasn't there at practice. It turns out, according to Dan Campbell, it was just some sort of spasm that he was dealing with, but he's okay. He has returned to practice, so that's fantastic news. Maybe like some sort of back spasm. With that being said, Dan Campbell's presser, I didn't actually get to see it. I tried to open it, but it says it's private, so I'm like, all right, I guess it's not there anymore. But he must have talked about it there. Either way, I saw the quote that he said that Big V is doing okay. It was just a spasm. Kevin Jarvis sounds like he was sidelined today. Not sure why, but it sounds like he wasn't participating today. That's the UDFA signing out of Michigan State, the guard/tackle. Devin Funchess, here's the bad news. Sounds like he had some sort of upper body shoulder type of injury that he dealt with today, and he did not return to practice. So definitely hate to see that news. Oh my goodness. I'm really hoping this is nothing serious. Who knows if he plays on Saturday, but Devin Funchess definitely is like squarely on the bubble, and the Detroit Lions let go of two tight ends in their first initial cuts to get down to the 85-man roster, and Nolan Given and also Garrett Griffin. I think part of that was how well Devin Funchess played in the first preseason game and how he's really been coming on for the Detroit Lions. This is awful news. I hope that he is back soon, that we can continue to try to prove himself. They also highlighted him a little bit in Hard Knocks, which was kind of sweet. We're going to discuss that tomorrow with Rad. Female Lafonwu, who continues to be sidelined with Levi. Now, the Levi news, again, we don't really have an update there. We're just kind of waiting to see. They don't really have a timeline. They said they're not really expecting, those guys to be ready for the last preseason game, and it sounds like Levi did not travel with them to joint practices, from my understanding. Savion Smith did return, and we know Savion Smith he's a gamer, he's competitive, and to hear that he was down for a practice was a little bit like, oh gosh, I don't want this to happen, right? Because Savion Smith was pretty darn impressive in that first preseason game. Well, he returned. It sounded like he was a little bit fiery at practice today, which doesn't surprise me. There's a couple of guys that you can just anticipate are going to be fiery in practice, and some guys are amongst, each other when they battle each other in practice, but then to go face other guys, I think that really brings that out of them. And there's guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Savion Smith, Jamal Williams, who you just anticipate are going to go at it with their opponent. And it sounds like Savion Smith did that again today, as well as Julian Okwara, who continues to be sidelined. So those are some of your injury updates. With all that being said, let's dive into some of these notes I was able to gather. I don't really have notes from the presser. I mean, I'll touch on a couple of things, but I don't really have any notes that stuck out because I wasn't able to see the entire presser. Again, joint practices take place tomorrow as well, so we'll be getting more notes from that, and I'm sure we'll discuss some of that with Rad. And of course, Saturday at 1 p.m., the Lions play the Colts, which is kind of cool. 1 p.m. start for preseason. I'm not really used to that, but hey, I'm here for it. It started off just like the Lions training camp practice will, with a lot of individual drills, whether that was running back versus linebacker and pass protection. I would have loved to see this because I got to bet that this thing got really, I bet the tempers definitely flared throughout this drill because the Lions would get at it. It sounds like Jamal Williams definitely battled in this. Not sure if he won every rep, but he was very engaged in this drill for sure. You know, kind of letting everybody know about it, whether he won or lost, and also when other teammates won as well. That's no surprise there. It sounds like he went against Zaire Franklin, who is, I think, their second team linebacker. Now, shout out to Pride of Detroit for this. They said that DeAndre Swift had a great rep against Sterling Weatherford, who, of course, is the rookie. I believe that's the safety / linebacker hybrid out of the Miami of Ohio from this year's draft. It sounds like they absolutely went at it. DeAndre Swift won that rep, and Jamal Williams just let everybody know about it after DeAndre Swift won that rep. I could absolutely see that happening. Now, offensive line versus defensive line. So it sounds like the starters kind of had a mixed bag of results. This is one-on-ones once again, so it's like guard versus defensive tackle. So these are one-on-one drills. Sounds like a little bit of a mixed bag, but the reserves definitely seemingly struggled outside of Tommy Kramer and maybe Evan Brown for this drill. Unfortunately, that doesn't really surprise me. Now, Pride of Detroit did say that they are impressed with Kendall Lamb. I really like Kendall Lamb in his preseason debut. That's not to say I thought he was great or something, but I thought, you know, he was okay at the tackle position because I was very concerned with every other backup tackle that played in that game. And you guys know my concern with the backup tackle position already. So it sounds like for the most part, the reserves really struggled today on the offensive line, specifically in these one-on-ones. However, Tommy Kramer and Evan Brown did some solid things, and Kendall Lamb maybe did a couple of good things as well. I hope that's the case because I am a little bit concerned with that. But with the starters, the notes that we have given is that Taylor Decker split both of his two reps against Yannick Ngakoue. Now, Yannick, man, he's a good pass rusher. This is a guy that's gotten paid a lot of money for pass rushing. So, and he's also a guy that was with Todd Walsh. So he split the reps there. You know, I'm confident in Taylor Decker and what he's about. He's going to lose some reps. He does. He does have some lack of length and things like that, but athletically, he's a very talented offensive tackle, and it is great to have him starting at left tackle. But that's a good battle for him. I mean, he's seeing some really solid pass rushers. Haven't really seen Romeo, you know, this offseason, but seeing Charles Harris and a little bit of Aiden Hutchinson, now Yannick, I mean, that's a heck of a battle, but he's left tackle. He always sees those kind of battles. Also, Frank Ragnow, it sounds like, split his reps against Grover Stewart, who is the top, you know, nose tackle, defensive tackle for the Indianapolis Colts. And then Penei Sewell won both of his reps against, I want to say rookie. He's not a rookie. Kwity Paye out of Michigan. All right, he's a very young player drafted, I think, in the late teens, early 20s, just a couple of years ago by the Colts. Two young players going at it there. Actually, that may have been the same draft as Penei Sewell. Not sure on that. But with that being said, Penei Sewell sounds like won both of those reps. Big V won both of his reps against RJ McIntosh, another defensive tackle. And Jonah Jackson, it sounds like, lost both of his reps against DeForest Buckner. And DeForest Buckner is a very good defensive tackle. I mean, he's been very good for a long time. So, sounds like a nice little battle that was going on there for the Lions starting offensive line, but the backup offensive line didn't do so high. A couple of little notes they gave us with wide receivers versus defensive backs. Sounds like Khalif Raymond, for the most part, had a pretty darn good day. Sounds like Jared Goff struggled a little bit in this drill, but Khalif Raymond consistently got open. It sounds like Chark and Josh potentially won their reps. They just didn't get to completion. Now, this is a nasty one-on-one rep from Josh Reynolds. You can see him off the line of scrimmage. I like how he's able to really fend off the press at the line of scrimmage with some of the shoulder shake and not really be thrown off by the press. And then it's just this ability to really break down on that forward knee and cut back inside. I mean, that's a tall receiver doing that. Usually shorter receivers do this. That's incredible. Created separation. Khalif Raymond continuously created separation, sounds like, all day. Also, we had a punt return touchdown today. It sounds like the Lions special teams was just way in front of the Colts special teams. They work on special teams a lot, but really the Lions, I mean, hey, we haven't been great at a lot of things the last few years, but for a while now, our special teams has been consistently really darn good. Also, this TJ Hawkinson touchdown that they showed, this looks like it's on safety Nick Cross, another rookie out of Maryland here. He went just a couple of picks before the Lions chose Kerby Joseph. TJ Hawkinson, you can see playing through that, and then with the one-handed snag to finish off that rep. I mean, you could just tell from this alone kind of the competitiveness that was likely going on throughout the entire day. I mean, I bet this is just absolutely something to watch. You can kind of get a tell here from the off coverage, inside leverage. This is a safety, Rodney McLeod, on this play, and you're going to see at the top of the route how Kennedy tries to kind of shake inside a little bit before breaking outside. He's not the most explosive or dynamic, so he's not that threatening, but I do love how he catches this through traffic. Getting reps with the ones, being reliable, understanding that if I throw it there, he's going to come down with it in traffic. That's a heck of a grab still for Kennedy in traffic. Now, in 7-on-7s, it sounds like Lions were much less successful. Jared Goff reportedly said, you know, he was kind of getting his feet wet for the defensive scheme that they were facing. Lions didn't focus like the entire week on preparing for the Colts. It sounds like they focused maybe a day towards preparing for the Colts and what they may see. And it sounds like, according to Jared Goff, he was kind of settling into things. Zaire Franklin had a pass breakup on Khalif Raymond. Top linebacker Bobby Okereke. I think that's how you say his name. That actually might be right. I'm sorry if I messed that up, but you guys know who it is. He also sounds like he had a pass breakup on Khalif Raymond, but Jared Goff reportedly settled in once they got to the 11-on-11 drills. So the Colts have had some good coverage linebackers, and you can see this one looks like man-to-man coverage. And the Lions could usually just dominate the TJ Hockenson. It seems like it's definitely a good problem to have to find some of these outside receivers here like DJ Chark on Stephon Gilmore. I'll hit on the offense notes, then we'll come back to some of the defensive notes that I have gathered through these 11-on-11 drills. So it started off, it sounds like, with 2 short runs for the Detroit Lions throughout this drill. But guess what? Would you know it? The passing game seemingly opened up the run game, from what we're being told. Jared Goff to Amon-Ra St. Brown for a 15-plus yard reception. Then it was Jared Goff to Trinity Benson, as I guess the Lions were mixing in Trinity Benson and Tom Kennedy with the ones. Remember, there is no Quintez Cephas. Definitely be an area where Benson could be very difficult for defenses. These play-action rollouts, you can see Big V on the right side, so I'm assuming he's just pulled. And you can see by how Jared Goff sets up this throw that it was a play action. But dragging deep crossers, if he can consistently be a reliable pass-catching target, he's got decent height, so he's not like 5'7" and he's hard to find, and at the same time he's got a lot of speed to cross the field. Now it's just about catching the football consistently and being able to trust him. This is nice on the sideline. Trinity Benson is a guy I'm keeping my eye on. He just needs to be a reliable target where you can trust that he's going to catch the football. Aside from that, he can definitely get over top and threaten defenses, and it sounds like he is coming into his own. He's been doing it throughout training camp, though, taking the top off. It's just about being able to trust that he's going to consistently come up with the football. Sounds like he had a big play here on Stephon Gilmore, who was at one time the best defensive player, arguably, in football, and that opened up a big run for DeAndre Swift, which multiple sources have pointed to TJ Hockenson, who had a fantastic block on Kenny Moore. Lions definitely got it rolling for about 3 straight plays there, big chunks against the Colts, and it was the pass game that seemingly opened up the run game. But maybe they were committing a little bit to the run because the Lions ran the ball the first 2 plays. Either way, that's kind of what the Lions are going to be known for heading into this year, is like, hey, we got to stop the run against the Lions. But that's where the pass game has to come into play, because last season, the lack of threats on the outside really limited our success in terms of being able to run the football. When Quintez Cephas went down, our efficiency rushing absolutely just fell through. I mean, it just completely fell through, like, to the basement, man. I don't know what else to say there. It was terrible. Lions would come out in 12 personnel. They had 0 success really running the football. The efficiency dropped so much. Then they get Josh Reynolds back, as well as Taylor Decker, which also helps. And all of a sudden, the Lions' efficiency rushing the football skyrockets again. And it's a really good spot. The Lions needed to have weapons on the outside that can threaten, and it sounds like today a couple of those guys stood out. Trinity Benson, however, being the one there. That's actually a really nice note to hear. Then it sounds like they did some situational work, and they were still rolling as the Lions offense won 3 of these 4 reps with completions to Amon-Ra St. Brown, Khalif Raymond, and Josh Reynolds, all for first downs. The only one that they didn't pick up, it sounds like, was a run play where Kwity Paye had a stop on DeAndre Swift. So all the passes, they were 3 for 3, didn't pick up 1 third down because of a run play. Got back into working on 11-on-11s. It sounds like the Lions won 2 of these 4, with Shane Zylstra picking up a first down on a 3rd and short. Also a Jamal Williams 8-yard first down run, but then also being stopped. Brock Wright having the pass broken up when thrown to him, and then also they ran a draw play, it sounds like, on 3rd and 7 that didn't pick up the first down. We saw that a couple times from Dan Campbell last season. It is good to mix it up at times because everybody's expecting pass, and I'm not mad at mixing it in, especially depending on where you're at in the field. But with that being said, hopefully see a little bit more passing in these situations going forward into this year. Then the red zone notes that we also had. Sounds like Amon-Ra St. Brown. You probably saw the clip on Twitter. I think this is from that drill. You saw the Amon-Ra St. Brown 11-yard touchdown. DeAndre Swift also had a touchdown by a Shane Zylstra block that led the way, which is awesome. Love to hear that from Shane Zylstra, getting involved in the run game. Then Josh Reynolds would have also had a touchdown, but it sounds like he just dropped the touchdown. But again, consistency. The Detroit Lions seemingly got pretty darn efficient when they went into some of these team drills. The 7-on-7s, maybe not as much. The 1-on-1s, maybe not as much. But once they got their feet wet a little bit and started getting into the team atmosphere, seems like they started to roll. But again, we're talking about offense here. And that's something that I did know, is I feel like the Lions offense is in a really good place as a team right now, probably because of a lot of just the same returning pieces. Your entire offense line, your top tight end, your backup tight end, the same quarterback, the same running backs. You have a lot of the same receivers with 2 new additions. Really, one's not even playing. You have a lot of the guys coming back. Ben Johnson coming back. back, the offense seemingly was off to a pretty fast start through training camp to the point where they were busting out trick plays. So it really doesn't shock me that potentially not only are they being efficient, but they're also ahead of the Colts defense at this point because they seem to be in a really good place right now offensively. Can they keep it up throughout the season? We'll see. Really didn't get a ton of notes from the sec unit working. It sounds like their red zone drills were not as successful. Shane Zylstra had a near touchdown, but aside from that, it sounds like Tim Boyle also missed a couple of deep shots where Khalif was open, overthrown, and underthrown. From Tim Boyle. It sounds like Tim Boyle was the backup quarterback today going with the second team. I wish we had a little bit more notes from that because that just kind of points out the bad. And I know there were good plays, but inconsistency has been a thing, so that doesn't necessarily surprise me. However, shout out to everybody that's been giving us these notes. We do appreciate them for us that are not there. On to the defensive side of the ball. Like it sounds like the Colts defense may be a little bit behind our offense. It sounds like the Lions defense may have had some struggles. I guess they had a big jump ball caught by Alec Pierce on a huge gain. Doesn't really shock me. I mean, that's kind of what Alec Pierce was. He wasn't always a big-time separation getter in college out of Cincinnati, but he has some speed, some size, and he's a bully at the catch point. It's like a Zanamani, and it looks like his arm's in a good spot here, but you can see he does a great job of pulling this pass in, just bringing it to one arm, as Amani's between both hands on this play, but that's a great finish. Lions have a couple of taller receivers, but not a lot of just straight up go up and get it guys, you know, in terms of just like throwing an even ball where that happens all the time. We have a couple back shoulders, but not just going up and getting it. So that's a good work for the Detroit Lions to see someone like that. Even though he is a rookie, Alec Pierce can definitely play. However, in the red zone, as Alec Pierce reportedly scored on Amani, also Michael Pittman picked up a touchdown, and Ashton Doolin also scored a touchdown, it sounds like, on Jeff Okudah. The Detroit Lions, seemingly in the red zone, had some struggles as their only one rep that was noted, according to DetroitLions.com, I believe, is that Aiden Hutchinson got a pressure and forced Matt Ryan to basically throw it away. On the day, there was definitely flashes from the cornerback position, as it has been reported that Amani, Deshaun Elliott, and Jeff Okudah all had pass breakups on the day. Actually, you could see Jeff Okudah's pass breakup through the Detroit Lions social media. I apologize for the blurriness on this play, but you could see the tight end chip and then release to the flat, and it looks like Jeff Okudah some kind of zone coverage underneath zone where he comes down, plays through the tight end, and breaks this up at the catch point. He looked good in the first preseason game on underneath being physical battling. Must be a pretty good break here, which is always good for the athleticism side, and just a nice play. Looks like he's playing a lot with the ones. Again, I think he'll be the number one or opposite of Amani week one. So Kerby Joseph had an interception working against the second team. Nick Foles is the backup quarterback for the Colts. If you didn't know that, you're not alone. I didn't know that either. But apparently, Kerby Joseph picked off the pass on Nick Foles right over the middle. Looks like whatever defensive lineman is at the top here that you can't really see, dare I say it's John Kaminsky, kind of looks like it, is definitely creating some pressure, forcing Nick Foles to step up, maybe overthrow this pass. Talk about being right place, right time. Just looks like he led him too far, overthrowed it, and Kerby Joseph is sitting right there to intercept it. And we saw this in the first preseason game. Didn't come up with the pick, but he was in a good spot. And here he is once again right behind the route. Opportunistic. That's what Kerby was in college. He got a little bit of love from the coaching staff, so maybe that has him feeling good. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. And a couple of special teams notes they gave us. Again, Khalif Raymond, apparently Lions special teams was in a good spot, as it has been pretty darn good. Khalif Raymond had a big punt return. Godwin and Craig Reynolds had a really good rep together in some of their 2-on-1 like gunner drills. Lions do the same thing at training camp as well. Also reportedly a little bit of a scuffle that went on. Sounds like multiple scuffles, but one between Deshaun Elliott and Michael Pittman, when Deshaun Elliott, I guess, just tossed Michael Pittman and they got kind of into it. Sounds like Savion Smith was in a little bit of a scuffle. Maybe Bobby Price got a little bit heated, but I can expect all of that. You know, it doesn't sound like anything got out of control, but it sounds like, you know, there were some fired up emotions and everybody's battling, man. And I feel like these environments are awesome. Again, the Lions didn't have this last season, so I'm sure they're kind of feeling it out in terms of like Dan Campbell, but it sounds like they did a lot of drills that the Lions do at training camp anyway. So I would assume this is probably good for both teams because you're doing a lot of the same things, same situation, same one-on-one drills, but now you got to go against someone else. And that just changed tendencies. It breaks tendencies. As Jared Goff said, we're trying to get a feel for their defensive scheme, right? It's a little bit different. It's a break of tendency. You don't really know what to expect, not only from just what they're doing schematically, but also what just one guy does. You line up one-on-one with a defensive back, a cornerback, you kind of have a feel for maybe when he's going to do a certain thing because you see him all the time. All of a sudden, this other guy just does it a little bit different. All of a sudden, this other guy jams you a little bit harder, puts it in a different location, right? Takes a different first step. He's a little bit quicker. Maybe he's a little bit slower and you're just thrown off by the timing there. It can take a second, but it is nice to get a nice little feel of that before we get into the year and also before before you play the preseason game where that's the case, because in the preseason, these guys aren't going to get these reps. You know, Jared Goff is probably not going to play again. They weren't going to play him in the first game. I wouldn't anticipate seeing any of these starters. So for Taylor Decker, Jonah, Frank, the entire starting offensive line, these are the reps that they need. The backups, you know, we're going to get to see them in game situation as well, and it's going to be pretty vanilla. And I'm sure that this was pretty vanilla as well. Don't count out how much this could mean for a roster bubble player. They get a little bit of opportunity in preseason, but you can get some more here too. But for them, we're going to see them. For the starters, these are the matchups they want, right? Now, Jeff Okudah, you know, maybe not Amani, but Jeff Okudah, those guys, they're probably going to play in the preseason. However, a lot of the offense, this is for them to kind of get a nice little feel of facing something different without having really just 3 weeks before you play another football game. So it is kind of nice. It kind of bridges the gap a little bit for some of these starters, and that's what I do like about joint practice. Lions also have joint practice tomorrow. It sounds like we're going to get some notes from that as well, so I'll share those when I do find them. With that being said, Saturday is our game. This video is probably going up a little later. I apologize for that. The timing was just weird for me today. I was working on some other stuff. But with that being said, thank you for everybody that's tuned in to this point. If you watched to this point, please comment a donut in the comment section, or a bagel. I don't know what they have actually. Maybe they got both. You know what I'm saying? Costco. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.